Okay, so hello and welcome. This is the Conrad Gaming Channel. This will be where all HOI4 content and, more importantly, every single gaming content I'm going to be covering, because I'm not just going to be covering HOI4, as you will soon find out why. Now, this is going to be a dev diary. I want to go through all the important ones. If you wanted them on the stupid alt focus ones, I don't care to read them and put myself through that. So we're going to start with the plain diary, and then every day after this, we will continue to catch up. So around 5 days, and then we'll catch up to everything. I'll give you my input. So let's get started on this. So on August 2nd, they released the dev diary for the plane designer. And we can already see we're going to have so much fun making our planes that are broken. So, hello, welcome back to another dev diary up by upcoming Blood Blown. We've returned from our summer vacation, and we are now back to bug fixing and tweaking the balance of features. This is PR bullshit for sorry, we abandoned you HOI4 fans for a good fucking 6.5 months. But we're back, so we'll try now. Today we are taking a look at the plane designer. As always, any number value that is going to see in this DD is subject to change, which is again more PR speak for maybe we'll fucking change it, probably won't. Almost as soon as we announced the No Step Back DLC feature tank designer, we felt it would mesh well with the rework of the Italian focus ring. Because the plane designer is subject to the community, apparently. But not least of because the Italian aviation industry was very well developed and produced some of the best combat airplanes of the war, hampered mostly as Italy was so often by lack of production capabilities. This is not fucking true. Italians had a lack of engine power. And also a lack of production capability for everything. They had some good designs, especially in the late war, but they only made around 60 of the planes, so it didn't really fucking change anything. And they always had engine problems, which I don't think they're going to mention, but that's a thing. We also felt that the plane designer would help plug some gaps in the lineup of aircraft available. I agree, it actually would. Over the years, many players have commented on the fact that many nations modified fighters to also carry bombs, or the tactical bombers also carry torpedoes. One of the biggest goals of plane designers are multiple multi-role aircraft. Okay, so this I actually agree with, because if you play some Black Eyes, Total War, what name your fucking mod here, they usually have little sub variants of aircraft like light bombers, patrol aircraft, heavy range naval bombers, all the way from light bombers all the way to strategic bombers. They have every bomber in between. Now, I agree that they should have done this, so fuck it. We now have plane designer. At the same time, we don't want to make these multi-role planes too powerful. Well, you fucked up there. Instead, a plane design optimized for a single mission should be more effective than a multi-role plane. This is true. Is that probably going to be the case? Probably not. Where multi-role planes offer flexibility, optimized designs offer top performance if you can afford them. I already see this being there's a optimum plane build that will be out there for pretty much everything, and people are just going to stick to that because they don't want to actually think. The basics of plane design are probably not surprising to anyone familiar with the ship or tank designer. Ship designer is broken, tank designer is broken. The base is called an airframe, which roughly corresponds to the holes in the chassis of the ship and tank designs. The airframes have a number of module slots where you can put modules that give the final design's actual stats. These are three different chassis types: small, medium, large. Small planes also come in carrier capable variants of the airframe. Ooh. The types of module slots in the plane designer are slightly different from the tank designer. They are effectively only three types of slots: engines, weapons, and special modules. So what they have also done here, which I don't think they're actually going to cover, which probably means they're not going to fix it or don't bother to fix, is that if they have added a small airframe and small planes are carrier capable, the problem with airplanes on carriers is the fact that there is fighters, there is naval bombers, and there is CAS. CAS is irrelevant, okay, for majority of whatever the fuck you're doing, unless you're strategically using them to park the carrier next to an island and actually give CAS support. So discount them. Fighters and torpedo bombers. Fighters don't work because of a bug that may have been fixed, may have not been fixed. I'll go with probably was semi fixed. Then you have naval bombers that do all the damage. Now you're going to be able to do a fighter bomber, so you're only going to have one type of plane on the carrier that can be a fighter and a bomber. So I wonder how their code is going to work. Probably going to be fucking spaghetti code there. But that's one problem I've already seen. Anyway, they're adding your modules. The engine modules are probably the most straightforward, unlike tanks, where the slot dictates the type of engine the tank uses, and separate stats determine what speed engine module, blah 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 blah. The plane designer determines number and power of the engines mounted on the aircraft. These engines modules produce a new stat called thrust, while all other modules have another new stat called weight. These two stats are effectively the limiting factors of how many modules you can put on a plane. A plane is only legal if the weight does not exceed the thrust. Some people might point out that this is just a plane to thrust to weight ratio of 1 or better. In reality, are modern high performance fighter jets, but these people are suddenly ignored. Very good. Fuck the player base. I'm going to talk about this. Okay. So basically what they have just said here is that a plane is only legal if the weight does not exceed the thrust. They have not talked about anything related to that. Now, they probably will, which we'll get into, but my first initial thought is you can have 44 weight and 45 thrust, and your plane will be just as efficient as 1 weight and 45 thrust, but we will see. Any excess thrust is converted into extra speed, which is intended to provide a reason not to fill every module slot. We will see how effective that is, because there's a point at which you would want to lose your fucking speed to get, if your speed penalty is only like -7 fucking kilometers an hour, and you get like X, then it's worth it, right? One thing to note is that the jet engines and rocket engines, for that matter, are part of these engine slots, which means that they are available for all types of airplanes. This, by necessity, means that jet fighters and other jet-powered airplanes are no longer their own type unit. They're simply now fighters with jet engines. That's good. At least you don't have to make a new fucking squadron every time you want to use jet fighters. Jet fighters will therefore reinforce regular fighter wings. That's what I just said. And they also can now effectively make jet carrier planes, just jet cast, jet fighter, blah, 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 blah. Oh my god, they're fixing a hiccup from the old days. If you didn't know, you had to fucking... If you even got to the damn jet age, which nobody really did, you had to make different squadrons because you could not reinforce tier 3 planes because it just doesn't work like that. Whole separate fucking thing. So let's take a look at this module. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. For your rocket planes, you got all your shit here. Good. Weapon modules are also fairly self-explanatory, but beyond providing offensive stats like air attack module, weapon modules fulfill 2 other major functions. The first function is that the weapons define what the plane can do, obviously. For this, the design of the primary weapon. This design has a primary weapon, okay. This module in this slot defines the role of the final design, i.e. fighter, cast, and naval bomber. So you get one primary weapon slot to be fighter, cast, or naval bomber. This is relevant because the weapons modules also unlock what missions a design has available. This means that the strict separation of mission type by aircraft will be gone. You can create fighters that can provide ground support or strategic bombers that can do naval strikes depending on the module you put on the plane. There are, of course, some restrictions. Strap bombers can never mount the modules necessary to unlock air superiority missions, for example. Okay. We still want to give an easy way to clarify your design on a high level, and it will also make it a lot easier to tell the AI what a design is and how it should be used. I don't believe you, but okay. Without accounting for doctrines, there are no stat differences between, say, a fighter that has a set of 4 machine guns in the primary weapon slot and a bomb in the secondary slot, and a cast that has bombs in a primary weapon slot. Oh, but one goes into fighter air wings and the other goes to... What the fuck? Okay. Say a fighter... Okay, so let's read this sentence very clearly. If a fighter has 4 machine guns as a primary weapon and bombs as a secondary weapon slot, and a cast has bombs as a primary weapon and machine guns as a secondary slot, there is no stat difference. There are no stat differences. Okay, that's what it says. But the only difference is one goes into a fighter air wing and one goes into a cast air wing. That is the only thing. Okay, so my point still stands on the fucking carrier bullshit that's gonna break. We still wanted to give an easy way to clarify your designs on a high level to make this easier. Okay, blah blah, I read that. Cast planes have a large variety of weapons available to them to attack ground targets. Cannons, anti-tank cannons. Oh no. Okay. There was a full list of weaponry mounted on the plane. Stats are going on below. Okay, so this is what they actually have. Okay, so machine guns, heavy machine guns, cannons, cannons, bombs, 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 tank buster, tank buster, suicide aircraft. I like that. We got bomb bays, medium bomb bays, torpedo mounting, guided anti-ship missiles. That's a very late tech patrol plane. Okay, so these are just some. This there is a full list of. This is the full list. There is a full list of weapons, the missions they unlock, and what classifies a plane in the primary weapon slot. Stats optimized because balancing. Oh, this is it for the primary slot. Okay, that's not that much, but I can already tell you that like half of these are fucking irrelevant because like you're not gonna use these. You're probably gonna use either this or this. Or and then once it upgrades to Cannon 2, we're just gonna use Cannon 2s because everyone eventually went to fucking cannons. A big surprise. So it's probably gonna be cannons or machine guns in the beginning and then Cannon 2s. Okay, cool. Well, some of these weapons are unlocked in the rework error Trek tree. Some of them also found it outside in a similar manner as tank weapons. Oh boy. I will note the total number of techs in the air tree has actually decreased. Hmm. It has decreased because remember there was used to be a single line for naval bombers, fighters, CAS, and then there used to be mediums, strategics, and heavy fighters. So that was six lines, and then you had jet aircraft of every type. So yeah, this is actually smaller. Okay. One notable aspect is that a lot of these modules provide different stats. Only for specific missions. For true multi-role planes to make sense, we wanted to make sure that building a design would mix a set of missions didn't make the plane useless in some of them. Hanging bombs off a plane should make it less agile, slower, but a fighter that was able to do CAS shouldn't be useless in air superiority or missions. Thus, the weight and agility penalties over to the fighters. Okay, thus the weight and agility penalties only apply to fighters if it is actually on a CAS mission. If not, if it's on an air superiority mission. What the fuck? Let me read this again. Hanging bombs off a plane should make it less agile and slower, but a fighter that was able to do CAS shouldn't be useless in air superiority missions. Period. Thus, the weight and agility penalties only apply to the fighter if it is actually on a CAS mission, not if it's on an air superiority mission. What the actual fuck? So there is literally no point in building an interceptor. That's what I am reading, because the penalties do not apply if you're on an air superiority mission. And then if you're on a CAS mission, they apply. What the fuck? Because if you're on a CAS mission, okay, let's think about this. A CAS mission means that the planes can be shot down by technically aircraft and anti-air. It's the only fucking thing in the game that you can actually shoot down with anti-air. That's on a unit. Let's put it that way. So if you can just strap a whole bunch of fucking bombs to your fucking fighters and then just don't put them on CAS, and then put them on CAS when you need it, that's retarded. I see why they want to do that, but that's not how planes are built. If you have a dedicated interceptor, it should be better than everything. It's called air superiority fighters for a reason. And then there was multi-role fighters for a reason. It's because they weren't, again, it had to be a balance. One was very good at fighting other aircraft. The other was okay at fighting aircraft. Modified only applies to certain missions. Modifiers only apply to certain missions. Here, the bombs on the Stuka make it less agile, but the dive brakes give it better air defense. Air defense is like your ability to shoot down enemy aircraft or not get hit. If I can't remember anymore. It's been a while. Finally, we have the so-called special modules that are effectively catch-all time for different items. Blah 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 blah. Okay, armor plating, obviously self-sealing fuel tanks, drop tanks, smaller frames only, extra fuel tanks, dive brakes, radio navigation, reduced night penalty, increased strat attack. Oh, this is good for England. You just have fucking 0 penalties then. Air/ground, reduced night penalty, increased strat attack, increased naval detection. Okay, yeah, so they're adding basically radars, making radar useful because radar was very useful for the people that had it. Reduce only on night penalties while on the intercept mission. Okay, float planes, blah blah blah. Defensive turrets. So these are all the defensive turrets. Unlocks reconnaissance mission. You need the law resistance duty DLC for that. Demitting coils unlocks demining missions, manly guns only. You just need all the DLCs if you're gonna have this fucking DLC. I said this before, but you need to. And again, non-strategic material reduces aluminum cost, reduces air defense. This right here will be the one that's put on pretty much every fucking plane. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. Nobody's really gonna give a fuck about air defense. And if you can if you can get rid of the aluminum cost or reduce it, yeah, that's gonna be very good. Special modules are primarily intended to help optimize planes for various missions or give them different niches. The eagle-eyed amongst you have already spotted that planes now have a surface and subdetect stat. Up until now, planes that were actively in the sea zone always provided a flat bonus to spotting speed of any navy active in the sea zone. This will now change with planes having dedicated spotting stats that determine how well they will be helping navy spot. There are modules like air-to-ground radar and flying boat planes which will give. Okay, so now your planes can actually help you spot your fucking. So before this, when you put a navy out on a recon mission, I'm getting very into the weeds here. When you put a navy on a recon mission, you had to do a whole bunch of bullshit to optimize it to be able to find shit very easily. If you added planes into the mix, they give you a static bonus of like 5 to your recon ability. Now you can boost that because they have the actual stats. So now they can actually be better at spotting. Technically, you might be able to use them as actual spotting fleets, which would be very handy because then you can just have your planes do spotting and put all of your ships on a fucking strike force then. And don't have to worry about patrolling that bullshit. Now, yes, blah, 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 blah. Vanilla planes have their stats already baked in, with some being better than others. Carrier planes are better than their land-based counterparts, naval bombers, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Oh my god, they can do naval patrol. Furthermore, to further support this, we're adding 2 more things. Maritime patrol planes as a dedicated unit type and a special naval patrol mission for these. Oh my god. Maritime patrol planes are built on large airframes and given them exceptional range. They're able to mount a whole array of naval bomber weapons, but naval strike is not really intended to be their primary role. Maritime plane aircraft are meant to help with spotting raiders in deep ocean where smaller planes with shorter range spot. Yes, I like this. Very good. Thank God. So now you can use these to fucking spot enemy. You can basically sit on Iceland and have actual planes do recon for you, and then just have your destroyers go out and fucking kill them when they spot the subs. And then you could have even better planes that are only on naval strike that would once the enemy fleet is found, they drop the bombs on them. At least hopefully that's how they fucking coded it, because they may not have done that. Finally, we're talking a bit about the art. Oh no. Well, we have a large amount of historical art for various planes. We also wanted to give more options to visually distinguish aircraft, even if it's just to find blah 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 blah. We split existing art and recombine it into several different things, large number of assets, blah 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 blah. If you like painting your planes, you have more options. Technically. We also decided to add 3D art assets, blah blah, major 3D art assets. If you don't like any of these plane modules right here, use a mod. That's what I will tell you. That's about it for this week. I hope you enjoy the plane making, blah blah blah. On a personal note, the plane designer is my final contribution to the HOI4 after close to 6 years. What the fuck? All the way through the early days on Together for Victory. The time has come for me to leave the company and move on to greener pastures. It has certainly been an eventful and productive couple of years, and there are many things I'm very proud of, and a few things I regret, like adding Austria-Hungary as a joke, and then finding out that people love monarchism. Oh my god, can you really believe that? Working on HOI4 has been a series of dreamery since the day of launch of. Working on HOI4, yeah, blah blah blah, since the day of first launch, almost 20 years ago. People say that Few people can say they've had an impact on a piece of entertainment that has similar impact on themselves, but the thing I'm most proud of is the team we built, blah, 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 blah. I'm looking forward to it, once again, being as a player. Weird things that came up in QA. So this man is leaving fucking HOI4, or actually Paradox. This is the final contribution, and he is leaving the company. If you know why people are leaving Paradox, you know why people are leaving Paradox. But anyway, so, weird designs. Ah, very good. Now everything breaks. When we restrict the number of bomb bays on a plane, and then we should. Okay. 6 engines, 4 cannons, blah, blah, blah. Needs to say combo is no longer possible. But what if more guns? Okay, cool. Well, that's it for the plane dev diary. Hopefully you agree with me, or you don't. I don't really care either way. It's just what it is going to be. Otherwise, leave your comments below on what the fuck you think is going to break first. And I will see you people for the next dev diary. Catch you later.